In this video, we're going to design a trailer hitch ornament. The trailer hitch ornament is going to be a piece that fits into the hitch receiver of my truck, and I can plug into where the trailer lights plug in, and it will light up. So this is going to be a Dan Designs logo, and plus I'm going to do several other ones, and some blanks for you guys to use. This is a SolidWorks portion of that, so if you want to learn SolidWorks, this is a video for you. If you want to learn more about the project itself and the making of it, the video I'll put in the link in the description of this also. So let's jump into SolidWorks and design this thing. Alright, so I'm going to start in a new assembly. I'm going to do in millimeters. So I'm going to go ahead and change that down here. Alright, and I'm going to go ahead and save this thing. Save to this PC. And we're going to call it DD for Dan Designs Ornament. Don't know if I spelled that right, but it doesn't matter. The actual receiver is a 2-inch, so that means there's a 2-inch square piece of steel tube that goes in there. So we're going to use that. We're in millimeters here, but we're just going to design that as a 2-inch square. So let's start with that. First we're in an assembly here, so first we need to add a part. So insert component, new part, and that just drops it in there. It's asking for what is actually going to be the front plane of that. We're just going to make it the front plane of this. So now we're ready to go. I always like to design in the part whenever I can, so I'm just going to go ahead and open that up by clicking right here, open part, and now we're in the part, and for some reason it chose inch pound second again. Let's go ahead and change that. I found that most of the people like to use millimeters, like to use the metric system, so that's what I switch over to, even though most of the stuff on a truck, on this particular truck, at least hitches, are in inches. But anyway, it doesn't matter. SolidWorks is easy to go back and forth. So anyway, I jumped into the sketch here. So now we're on the front plane. I'm just going to start with a square about the center rectangle. Like that. Right click, drag upwards to get my smart dimension. And I'm going to set that dimension, and we're going to make it 2 inches. Even though we're in millimeters, we can put the inch mark there and signify inches. So I'll put that in there, and it's 50.8 millimeters. And now I want to escape out of the smart dimension. I'm going to click that, control click that, and make them equal. Alright, now we have a square and we're fully defined. But first I want to put some radiuses on all this. Actually, I'll do that in the actual solid. So let's go ahead and extrude this. We're going to do it mid-plane because I like to have the middle of the plane no matter what I'm doing, because there's going to be a face at each end, so I don't need it to be on the end. The middle gives me another reference. So that's what I'm doing there. Alright, so we're going to make this, let's just say 76. That looks pretty good. So that's the base of our thing. Now let's put some fillets on the corners. Select one of these, it'll pop up and ask me, do you want to do all of them? I sure do. And we're going to make that 10 millimeters. I like that. So there's the part that's going to go right into the receiver there. And a 2-inch outside should fit in there. That's what it's made to fit. Alright, now on this end I'm going to hollow this out. So we're going to select this face and hit shell. And we're going to make the thickness of this part 2.4. And show preview. So that's what it's going to look like. And we'll hit OK. Now you can see we basically made a cup out of this. Now, Control 7 will give us our isometric view. That way, if you forget which way this thing's pointing, you just hit Control 7. Now you know this is the front and this is the top. Okay, so on the side here, we want to put a hole going all the way through. So let's go ahead and make a sketch on that surface. and we will right click and drag to the right and start a circle, and right click, drag upwards, smart dimension. Now, I like to use a lot of these things, but they're all up here. You can drag up here and select the circle, select the smart dimension, but this little, I forgot what they call it, the little heads up thing is wonderful once you get used to it. All right, so once again, this is a 5/8 inch hole here. So I want to just use 5/8. So I'm just going to hit 5/8. Sorry about all the inches, but that's what it is. So we'll just go with that. And that's 15.88. And now I will select the center, select the origin, and we will make that horizontal. And then we want to make this from this edge back. And I'm going to make it I want it about there, so let's go ahead and make it 63. That looks pretty good. And that's pretty good, so let's go ahead and features, extrude cut. And although that's going all the way through that like that, that's not how we model. We want to make this through all, and then it'll always be the same size. If you just drag that and then you change the size of this, it will cease to go all the way through there and then cause problems. So that's how we want to do it right there. All right, there's our hole. That's a little close to the end there, but we'll come back and revisit that. A lot of times I like to model a little bit, throw some things in there, see how it looks, and then start tweaking some stuff to refine the design. So that's just the way I work. All right, so from here on out is going to be whatever shape we put on the end of this. I'm going to have some different shapes. This particular one's going to be a circle, but I'm going to do a rectangle maybe for a flag, for an oval for a Ford logo, things like that. So we're going to develop all this part of it here first, and then we can add the other part on the end later. So we will keep going here. So one thing I want to do here is add a little finger in here that keeps this tight, because I don't want this rattling around in the back of my truck here. I want to have a pin through here, and then this is going to be a little bit of a slip fit, so it'll rattle. So I want to make a little tensioner here to make that not rattle. So let's do that. So let's select the side here, and we will start a sketch. And I want to start with a line on here. We'll come off the line, go back to the point and back on it, and we'll get a tangent arc. We'll bring that all the way around to there, and then this to there, and then that to there. Okay, so now let's lock this thing down. One thing I know, I want this to be to the face inside here. So let's go ahead and go Hidden Lines Visible View. I'll select that, Control select that, and make them collinear. Okay, so now that's hooked to there. We'll make this and this horizontal. We will give it a width. Right click, drag upwards, smart dimension. And we will make it, I think 13 sounds good. And then we will make it the same 13 long. That looks pretty good. But I just want this to be a cutout little tab. So we're going to go ahead and do an offset and reverse that inward. And let's maybe make it a millimeter. See how that looks? Maybe a 1/2 millimeter. No, let's make it 0.8. I think that looks pretty good, but I don't want it to be the bottom two. Let's unselect chain. Now hit enter, All right, now we have two lines going around there at 0.8 millimeters apart. And now we'll trim and power trim and just drag a line through there. Okay, let's go back to our solid view. I think that's good. So now we want to extrude that through. So let's go features, extrude cut. And that's going through everything. I don't want it to do that. I just want it to go up to the next surface here. So let's go to, instead of through all, go up to next. There we go. Enter. Okay. Now we have a tab sticking in there. And now I want to put a little ball on the end of this, a little bump to actually drag in the hitch. So let's rotate that around. So that's going to be on the top plane here, just like that. So let's start a sketch. It's right there. I'm just going to draw this out here. Start a line here, and we will go from there to there, up to there, and then escape, and we're going to do a 3-point arc. There, there, and there. Okay, escape that. I want this to be, this is the center. I want this to be coincident with that. Now it's always going to be in the center there. I want this to be on the surface, collinear. I want this to be out here, right up here. It's that point and that point. I want to make that coincident. That and that. Whoops, I moved too fast. Make that and that coincident. There we go. Okay, so now we have a half of a circle here, and now we just give it a height. We should be good. So let's give it a smart dimension here. Right click, drag upwards. And 1.4 sounds good. All right. So now we have our little nub shape. Let's go ahead and give it some, make it solid, and we'll do a revolved boss base. The axis is this right here. And we're already in the sketch, so it's choosing that. And we hit OK. Now you can see we have a round surface sticking out there. All right. Now I want one of these on every face. So let's do another revolve. But I know automatically we're going to need a center circle. A center axis, rather. So we will develop that by using two planes. The top plane and the right plane. And where those two come together is where we want the axis. So we're going to hit reference geometry, axis, and automatically, since I pre-selected those, pops that axis right in there and selected the two plane option. So we're good to go. Okay. Now we will do a pattern circle, and we're going to select the axis and then the features. So I want, it's kind of hard to select because of the, you can get inside here and do that, but the easiest way to do that is to hit this little arrow here and the whole tree comes out. And we want that cut and that revolve, and it's 360 degrees and there's 4 of them, so that worked out perfect. And I'll show you what's happening here. If we put 5 or 6, that's what's happening here. And if I change that to 180, it'll split those up between 180, but we had it right to begin with, 360 and 4 of them. Okay. All right, now we have a little tensioner tab on all the corners. I'm going to give it a little bit more meat on the inside here to strengthen it a little bit. So let's back up in time here by dragging this bar here. And now we just have the original one. I'm going to put a chamfer on that right there. And 10 millimeters is way too big. Let's try 1 millimeter. I think that will help a little bit. Enter. Yeah, I like that. Now let's roll time forward again, and we will edit this circular pattern to add that chamfer in. Let me just click it here. Now you can see it's part of all of them. Oh, it doesn't like that chamfer like that, so we're going to do it a different way. We will just go ahead and drag this to after the circular pattern, edit the chamfer, and we'll put it on each one of them. More than one way to do pretty much everything. Actually, probably a million ways to do everything. There we go. Same thing. Okay, let's go ahead and save this. And we are ready to go ahead and put our big circle on here that we're going to put our lights in and make it and put the logo on and stuff. So let's go ahead and create that. So to do that, I need another surface. This is going to be the first surface. I need another surface out here a ways. So we're going to select that, and we're going to make a reference plane. Well, let's make it 15. We'll start with that, hit OK, and do a sketch on this plane. And now we want to just do a big circle, because this is going to be our circle version. There we go. And now let's give it a diameter. Make it an even 100. And this actually matters. So when you're doing your design, you need to think of some stuff. Well, obviously. But you need to think of what is your constraining dimensions. Like for instance, the 2x2 part it was going to fit into. So we designed around that. Well, we also have LEDs that are going to go around here. So we want to think of where we split that LED strip, because I'm going to route it around the outside of this. We want to make sure that we're not cutting it in a weird spot. So we'll look at that. I happen to know that it's just under 12 inches is a good spot to cut this. So we will try to design around that. So 100 millimeters, I think that's going to be pretty close. And we will go features. Up. Now first off, we'll just go ahead and exit that sketch. And now we're going to say features lofted boss base. And our two features are going to be that surface and this sketch. And you can see that looks pretty good. Okay. Alright, that's our loft. And now we want to extrude out from that. And we will use this face here, add a sketch, convert it to entities. So we have a circle now, features, extrude, and it's in a mid-plane. We don't want that. We want to go one direction. So we change it to blind. And we will make that definitely not 92. Let's see what 10 looks like. Let's go ahead and make that 13. So we're roughly a ½ inch. There we go. So there's our face that we're going to put our logo on. Now we want to give that a recess, a place to put the LEDs and stuff. All right, so let's go ahead and do another sketch on this face. Sketch. And we're going to offset this. So we'll select that. Offset. And once again, we will do 2.4, I think is what we did there, and make it reverse inside. I think that's pretty good. So that's the thickness of that. Extruded cut. And now I want to make this. Now you can see right now it's cutting way down through up to neck, so it's going all the way to the end. We want to make that blind, and we want to make it roughly not the same as the other one because I want some meat in here. That's 13. Let's give it minus 2.4. It's the same thickness. So there, now we have a cut in. And I want a lip here for the logo to glue to and sit. Not much of one, but a little one. So let's put that in there. I don't want much, but we do want a little. So let's make a sketch on this. And we'll come back toward us to thicken that up back there to put a little ledge. And we will go ahead and offset. Reverse it again. Definitely don't want 2.4. Let's make it more like a millimeter. That's probably pretty good. Let's go ahead and see what that looks like. And okay. Features, extrude it back toward us. And whoops, we need another entity there. We're extruding a middle piece. We want this line right here too. So we're going to go back to sketch and say convert. Now we have both of them. Now we will go features, extrude, and let's do offset from this surface here. And we'll make that 2.4 also. Now we have a little inset there at 2.4 inches. Okay, let's see what we think of that. I think we're getting pretty close here on the base part of this. Let's go ahead and save it. Okay, so I think I want that to be a little bit thicker. Let's go ahead and change that offset a little bit to 1.5. Control B to update it. There we go. I think that's good. And now I made this hole 5/8, and actually the pin is 5/8, so we need to give that a little bit of clearance. So let's go ahead and change that from, that's 5/8. Let's make it 0.64 instead of 625 inches. Sorry, I'm switching back and forth here, but okay, I want to do one other thing here. Okay, this actually, I want to tweak this hole a little bit so it prints better. One thing, I want to make this closer. I don't know why it keeps telling me there's an error, which there isn't. You can see it over here. Everything's fine. Okay. So now I want to add a point to the top of this so it doesn't have to print that overhang there. It'll just be a cleaner hole. So we're going to, let's just go ahead and jump back to when that hole was made, which is right there. So let's go ahead and jump back to there. I'm going to actually just go ahead and jump into that sketch. I didn't have to jump back. Well, let's go ahead and edit the sketch. So I'm going to draw a line out and snap to tangent here, maybe. There we go. and snap the tangent over here. There we go, and you can see these little tangent things on there. And now so this will always stay tangent, but I'm going to make that horizontal. So now all we have is the angle, and let's go ahead and just make that 90 degrees here. And now we have a nice 45 degree up and 45 degree down, and we'll just trim that out. Boom. Okay. Now that will print really nice, because I'm going to print this standing up like so. Put some infill in here, but nothing else will have infill and no supports or anything required. It will still do this overhang here, but that one will be cleaner. That's really all we have to do with this. So let's save it and close it down, and we'll end up back in our assembly. There's our part. We're editing that part, so let's go ahead and close that down. And now we'll throw in actually, one more thing. I need a hole for the wire to pass through. And I'm going to use a lamp wire. So I have measured that up and I know what size that is. So let's go back over to this part real quick and we'll add this in. Once again, Control 7 will show us our orientation. This is the isometric view, and I want this pass through for the hole to be right over here. So let's go ahead and start a sketch there. I'm going to make a slot, and we'll make it vertical like so, and like that. Okay, now let's give it some dimensions. Whoops. I don't know why I did that. Oh, because I'm out of the sketch. Okay. Go ahead and give it a width. Let's go ahead and make that 3 to start with. Let's hold down Shift and select the outsides. That way we'll get the outside dimensions. There we go. And I'll make that 6. Okay. I think that should work pretty good. We'll make it horizontal to the origin. And now I just really want to make sure it pops out the right place. So one way to do that is just to kind of put it way out here like so. Give it a dimension to the origin. I want to go to that axis, which is the same deal. And you'll see what I'm doing here. I'm just going to go ahead and extrude that through. So features, extrude through all, and hit OK. So now you can see we have one poking through there and it pops out here, which is about what I want, but I want it to be closer to the edge here. So the reason I put that dimension in here, that gives me a dimension. When I click on it, it pops up and has this little ball. Now I can drag that around a little bit and get it about where I want it. And I think 29.5 is probably good. There we go. So now when we put the LEDs around here, the wire will poke through this hole and come out and plug into the trailer hitch. Okay. So one last thing we need to do is check our distance around here. So here's some LEDs here. I'm just going to make a quick measurement and say, so this right now is, if we select it, we see down here, there's the diameter. Well, it should give me a length there. But if I hit evaluate and measure, it will say that the length of that is 289.65 millimeters. So let's see if that falls anywhere near where we want it to be. So 289, so we'll say 290 is not going to work all that great. We need it to be more like either 255 or 300, just over 300. So we'll make this a little bit bigger just to see what it comes out to. So we'll find that sketch, which it should be inside the loft right here. There's a sketch. Let's try 105 and update it. It's a little stoplight there. That looks pretty good. Now let's see what our length came out to now. 305. I said just over 300. That's just over 300. That should work out just right. So now we have our LED distance where it will wrap around. Oops, let's get out of there. This surface here. They're going to set on edge and stick to this inside surface here, and they won't overlap each other and there won't be a big gap. So there we go. I think we're done with this part completely now. Let's close it down, hit save all to this PC. I'm going to go ahead and rename this part to base. And we're going to put in the face part of it now. Control 7 to get isometric. Now I want to insert component, new part, and we're going to just select the front plane and then open it up. Okay, so now we want to, we're in inch/pound second. I want to change that to millimeter grams second. And we want to open that sketch and put a circle on it. And now we know, as I mentioned that, we know that we made that 105. So that's the outside of that. We need to actually go on the inside of this. So let's just give this a little bit of clearance. So first off, let's go ahead and just give this some thickness. And like I said, I a lot of times just throw dimensions at stuff and just start and then see how it works. I make that blind, and we're just going to make it 1.5 millimeters thick. Actually, let's make it mid-plane. And then save it, and then let's jump back over to the assembly and see where we're at. So there's our part. Let's get out of it. There's our part right there. Let's go ahead and change the color of it to white. And change the color of this back here to, let's just go blue so it looks a little different. Oh, we could go a darker, like it's going to end up being black, so let's go a dark gray. I think I like the blue better. No, I don't. Just go that. Now let's go blue. Okay, there we go. So now we want to move this around, and it automatically shows up as with a mate that's in place. So let's go ahead and delete that. And now we can move it around wherever we want. So we want to first make it concentric to that. Now we are always staying concentric there. I also want to make the top plane of that and the top plane of this so it doesn't rotate the same. So to do that, let me do that again, because I'm going to show you, if you click here and just wait, you'll get the little pop-up. If you do like I did and go here and just run your cursor over, you lose it. Then you have to go into the mate command. That's a little trick there. So there, and hit coincident. Okay, so now I want to set it on this face right here. Coincident. You can see it's way too big, so let's change the diameter of it until we have a little bit of clearance. So we want to double click on that, double click on that, and just start changing the dimension until we get it to where we want it. There's other ways to do this, possibly better ways to do this, but this is the way we're doing it this time. Now you can see close there. Actually, let's do it a better way. Let's look at this diameter is 100, and we want to give it at least a 1/2 millimeter. So let's make this 99 point. Let's go 99.5 and see how that looks. I a lot of times look at it, but if you are using circles, it's kind of hard because of the edges. You see how there's like flats on it? It's kind of hard to see how much gap you actually have. But you can see that we have plenty of gap and we have plenty of overlap on that ledge that we made. So that's where the glue will be, and we'll just glue that in place. Okay, so now let's save it all. And now we can make our Control-7, we can make our face to put on here. I definitely want to do that in the part, but first let's rename it. And I'll open this up. I'm going to drop my logo on here. And you've seen me do this if you've seen my lens cap videos. I put some logos on those and some other videos I have out there, but let's go ahead and grab that logo DXF file I have. So we want to go select that face, insert DXF drawing, and I already have one here and moved in my directory already, so we'll just select that and open it. And one thing you want to do is not import it as reference, and just a 2D sketch, and hit finish. Now you can see it's way out over here and my part's a little bitty over here. So let's first thing first move it to the right spot so we can select it all, hit move entities, and we want to take the center of this and move it over to the origin right here. Okay. And now we want to see what the difference between here and the diameter of this is. We made this at 95 millimeters, 99 millimeters. So we can select here and just see what kind of a distance we have. 353. So if we wanted that 353 to be 90, we would go and select this and hit scale entities, and we're going to scale it about this center, and we're going to put in here 90 divided by 353, tab, and that makes it exactly 90. Okay, I think that looks pretty good right there. But I actually want to make sure it's centered up, which I don't think it is, and make it a hair bigger also. So let's go ahead and I'm going to draw a center line across here just for reference. And you can see right there's the center. So we want to, and we'll do the same thing here. Kind of hard to do here. But we definitely want this to be, select all, move, and we want that to definitely be in line horizontally with that. Now we can look at the top and the bottom. It does need to come down, so all, Control A, move entities, and now we can just move it down just a hair. And this is just to get it to look right. It's pretty good right there. I just want to make it a hair bigger, so select scale, about that point. Alright, there we go. If we go 1, there we go. I'm going to make it just a hair bigger, 1.1. It's too much, 1.05. I like that. Okay. Now let's extrude this. Features, extrude. And we want, whoops, I don't want that line in there. Let's escape and delete that. That was just for reference. I'm surprised it actually recognizes that being a center line, but it did. Extrude. We want to extrude that, that, and that. And I want this to be not a mid-plane. I want it to be blind, to stick out like that, and just a little bit. So we're going to print this thing on a fine setting. So the layer thickness is 0.16. So let's just give it some smart layer thicknesses. So 0.16 is the layer, and we'll make that times maybe 6. So that's 6 layers thick right there. And then let's change this to be 0.16 times 8. That'll be 8 layers thick. It would automatically pick a number in between there to be a layer thickness, but might as well help it out. Alright, so this boss, let's go ahead and make it a color so we can... Alright, that's the face. So we're going to change that to be blue. Whoops. That's not what I wanted. I wanted to do that again. This boss extrude to be blue. Let's just make it a little less blue. There we go. Okay. Now save it. Close it down. And we're back into the assembly. I'm going to change this again to be a different color. I'm going to right click on that. And we will change the base part of this. And let's just make it that gray color again. Dark. There we go. Because that's kind of what it's going to look like anyway. Alright. There we go. Save all. Okay. Now this is what it's going to look like. It's going to have LEDs inside of it, and the cable's going to come out right there. So now this is ready for the printer, and we can see how it comes out.